My shed is full of broken things that I have plans for. I don't think of it as hoarding, but I guess hoarders don't think of hoarding either.
When we went to Stephen's shed, there were so many things.
Like, where do you start? Like, it's a bit overwhelming.
But I kind of was picking at the things that were familiar to me.
This crocodile was funny because I remember him sending some photos through. I saw it in like the corner of one of the frames and I was like, I'm going to try and find that.
There was a little anodized aluminium cup.
Governor William Blight. He was a big brass plaque.
When we got into Stephen's backyard, we were kind of welcomed by this big tree, really, and he told us about it for maybe a good 10 minutes. I think from the start we thought that, either we had to take it or the other couple had to take it.
Then I had this wooden part of an organ, and yes, it's got an interesting shape, but we'll see how far we can kind of push that.
We kind of went in knowing that we wanted to do something furniture-ish, something upholstery-ish, and he'd sent us some images prior, so we kind of had an idea that there was a chair, and then we're kind of looking for things that could be used as upholstery, which is where this orange canvas was kind of the option.
We're spending 3 months in Japan and we had to fly something over in a suitcase. I chose a plastic, I'd say 70s or 80s light shade. This is what remains of it. It's been destroyed. It reminded me of 70s lucite jewellery, and I think vintage jewellery is also like quite a big influence in my work. So the light, I guess it's probably about this big, and I was quite intimidated by it and I didn't know where to start. So the chalet we were staying with, we just decided to like launch it off the 3rd floor. I didn't think it would break, but it made a really satisfying clink. It was, I guess, perfectly functional if you did want to use it as a light shade. And I thought, like, one less 80s lampshade in the world might be okay.
A lot of the things that stood out to us were things that held nostalgia for us. Like Jordan's grandparents had awnings that were very similar. And the same with the little aluminium cups. It like holds, personally for us, so much nostalgia.
And then, I guess the chair frames to tie it all together, really. If we were taking his branch that, he was going to spend time sitting and thinking on, we wanted to replace that experience. We didn't want to just take it away and leave him without it. So that's when kind of formed to create this bench. The branch, on the day I expected to get a lot more timber out of it, and then I brought it back here and realised how gnarled and how much movement and how I'm very used to working with straight bits of timber.
So the last piece was that little cup, which we were kind of searching for something that could tie a ceramic element in.
The one that we chose in the end has little teeth marks in, like child-sized teeth marks. So it tells a little story of use.
So the glaze is made with the leftover timber sort of scraps made into a wood ash.
So the chopping board was a way of kind of rounding out that experience and having the cups be used in this setting, I suppose.
We can imagine Stephen drinking little tiny cups of coffee from those cups.
We were working in a little town in Japan. The building that was next to our chalet was essentially abandoned, but we were told we were allowed to use that as a studio. It was freezing. It was very unpleasant. I think I just wanted to respond to my immediate environment.
If we stopped for too long, Courtney would notice another icicle or piece of frozen foliage. And
there's a lot of texture in the plastic. I found that really interesting when playing with those components, because it looked like ice, like the imperfections that you get, and it kind of worked out really well that it looked like ice.
Once you kind of zoom in on Snowflake, it's like infinitely complex and there's some chaos in that. And I think we both kind of embrace that a little bit in our projects.
I suppose when we're collecting from op shops or antique places, you don't know what the personal connection to the owner is, whereas Stephen, he would tell us where something came from or if something had a specific meaning. I just didn't want to take anything from him that had such huge personal significance.
Some of the things that people brought out of the shed were things that I didn't really even know were there, little things that reminded me of, in some cases, quite traumatic things, and the idea of brokenness and whether some things are ever meant to be fixed. When I find things in the shed that I'll probably never get around to fixing, I'm quite happy to see them. I've always, fixed things, but maybe there's some things that are more valuable or more beautiful broken. I was so surprised coming in, and perhaps unreasonably surprised, because two chairs, they come together, make a little sofa. Of course they do. I love the wood, that sort of gnarly old branch that I had, how that's been used. And these cups, I saw it as soon as I came in, I thought, oh, that's right, this cup was one of the things that was taken, this sort of old, anodised picnic cup. I was letting everything go, and I think that was quite an exciting place to be in a way. It was good. Sending these things off to grow in someone else's hands. But I'm really happy that I can sit in it as well. And I can put a hand on those arms. It's fantastic. My tree would love it.